And hello, everybody from all around the world. This is your host, Jim Masters. Thank you very much for joining us. It is great to have you here, and I hope you had a good day. As you know, here live on the Jim Masters Show Live, we stream worldwide at 7 p.m. Eastern and 4 p.m. Pacific, and we do it on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, and also on Facebook. And I just want to say thanks once again to everybody from all around the world. So many of you have been commenting, you've been writing, you've been sharing the links. You guys have been absolutely phenomenal. And so many people have wanted to hop on the show in terms of being guests from television, from film, from music, authors and speakers and scientists and life coaches and inspirational people and so many incredible people. And it's just been tremendous. And as you know, we have guests on the show. We also do fun segments too. We take you on location. We've done food segments, music segments, all kinds of cool things. And it's just a blessing and a joy to have you here on the show. Again, if you're looking for some fun, some, as we say, light and levity and love, that's what this show is all about. We have some really cool people that come through here, which is amazing. We've had some spectacular shows. I hope you were watching when Marie Ann was on with me last night. That was a phenomenal show. And then Renee Nesbitt, my dear friend from Celtic Woman and Rocktopia and Celtic Harp. We worked on that PBS special together. And how about Pavlo, that renowned guitarist, Greek guitarist who is with us. He's had 2 PBS specials. He's got another special they're filming in Santorini, Greece coming up in August. We spent about an hour and a half talking together live, which was wonderful. And so many great people. Dan Goggin, who created Nonsense on Broadway, my dear friend, the playwright and producer. Rain Pryor, daughter of legendary comedian Richard Pryor, and she's an incredible comedian in her own right, and she's a phenomenal person and a wife, a mother. She's running for Baltimore City Council in Baltimore, Maryland. The elections are this week. We wish her the very best, that she comes out a winner. That was an almost 2-hour interview we did with the sensational Rain Pryor, my dear friend. She's funny, she's witty, she's caring, she's a spectacular person. And again, we've had so many people. We had the Harp Twins too, the internet sensation, the Harp Twins, Camille and Kennerly Kit. They were spectacular and they played the harps. We worked on a PBS special with Tim Janis, the composer, last year, and they were so. Anybody that I've asked to come on the show, they've all just been hopping on the show. We had Vegas comedian Bill Hildebrandt with us as well. That was a riot. We had humorist and stress management expert. She's had many PBS specials. Loretta LaRoche, she was a riot. Just before the show, trying to get her to download Google Chrome so she can get into the system. What she was saying on the phone, it was hilarious because she always talks about all the idiosyncrasies of life and the things we all get hung up on. She was amazing. You can go back into the archives if you want to see all the past episodes. We have 5 weeks of episodes of the Jim Masters Show Live that you can check out on the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. That's right. We also have them here on Facebook at Jim Masters TV as well. And I invite you to like the page and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can see all of the past shows. And on the YouTube channel, you can see some elements of my professional work as well. We were very excited the past week and a half because for a documentary, a television documentary that I had the opportunity to produce and executive produce and host, where we flew out to Burbank, California for Close Up Television. We won a Telly Award, an international Telly Award for a documentary for this spectacular documentary we had a wonderful opportunity to work on, celebrating the life of 91-year-old renowned visual artist Alice Asmar, whose work is in the Smithsonian, galleries in Paris, and so much more. And we've become dear friends as a result, which tends to happen when I interact with people. And it was a great 2-day event that we did, filming at her lovely home and her art studio attached to her home in Burbank, California. It was a true blessing. And you can see that full documentary on my YouTube channel as well. Again, it just scored a Telly Award and we were totally shocked, the crew and I. And that's hot off the presses. And we're so honored by that. So thanks again for joining us. Thanks for all the love, all the support. Continue to spread the word. We have an incredible array of guests that are coming up. I'll list them out later on during the course of the show. Some amazing people that have just jumped right on. Paul Green is going to be joining us next week. Paul Green, you know, from all the Hallmark movies on the Hallmark Channel. He's a dear friend. I usually see him all the time every year at Carnegie Hall when I MC Tim Janis's famous, illustrious holiday concert with so many fabulous stars. And he's a brilliant singer and musician as well as actor. And you see him on a lot of movies and specials, and Hallmark is where you see him a lot, especially at Christmas time. He'll be with us. Dr. Bernie Siegel is going to be with us too. He's just written 2 books, one with his grandson, Charles, and so many incredible people. But as you know, when we start the show, we do our toasts. So I say hello to you and you and you and you and you from all around the world. We thank you very much for joining us here live on the Jim Masters Show. And as you know, or if you're new to the show, because we've got a lot of new people watching, we have to have the sidekick. And again, the show's about light, love, and levity, and whatever order you want it to be. I did a nostalgic week with my audience a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about childhood toys and just things from the past. And I showed George Burns. This is George Burns, the actual doll from when he was 100 years old. My 100th birthday, my aunt got this, and my cousin Barbara gave it to me as a gift. And there he is with a cigar. He's here every night as my sidekick, sort of my Ed McMahon. I had him on one night, and everybody just said, Jim, you got to keep him on the show. We love George. So George is here, and George says hello to you and you and you and you as well. And as we continue the light and levity, we have our routine. We have Jeannie. Jeannie is in the bottle, the actual replica of the I Dream of Jeannie bottle, hand-painted, which, as I mentioned a couple of days ago, when they did the I Dream of Jeannie series with Barbara Eden and Larry Hagman and the gang, they actually used a Jim Beam bottle, a replica of an actual Jim Beam bottle, and that's how they got the shape for the I Dream of Jeannie bottle. Jeannie is still in there. I tell you, I'm trying to get her to come out for the show, but she won't because the hair salons are still closed, and she's upset she hasn't been able to do her hair. So she doesn't want to come out until the hair is done, and because she's been quarantined, like a lot of us, since March in here, she won't come out. She lost her powers. So Haji or somebody's going to have to come and save her. You doing all right in there? Yes, master. So she's there. And of course, everybody wants to have this other cast of character. I was on a TV shoot in Europe. This came from Switzerland. There is your friend, Silver. Silver says hello as well. Put smiles on your faces. And your last friend, I know everybody wants to have him here, Jimmy. Jimmy is there, and Jimmy says hello to you as well. How can you not smile with all the craziness going on in our world right now? How can you not smile at a face like that? No, I don't mean this face. I mean his. Well, maybe both. So Jimmy says hello as well. So I hope you've been doing well. I hope you've had a good day. Again, thanks for sharing all of the links to the shows. You can see all the past shows at YouTube, at the Jim Masters channel as well. We have 2 very, very special dear guests who are joining me here on the program. And I want to tell you about them. They're amazing. They're very talented. They're very creative. They're very special people who have been responsible for a lot of great entertainment and a lot of beautiful, beautiful work. First of all, and I'll show you their pictures and I'll tell you a little bit about them because they're going to be joining me in just a moment as my special guests. First, our very special guest, Hilary Rollins. Now, I'm very excited to have Hilary here as well as our second guest. And they're going to be joining us at the very same time concurrently, which is wonderful. They're both right now in California. So I want to show you some, I'm going to show you some more material. But first, let me tell you a little bit about incredible Hilary. She's amazing. Hilary's company, Hilary Rollins Presents, has produced and co-produced numerous cabaret and stage shows, mostly in New York and Los Angeles, for artists and songwriters, such as Amanda McBroom and Julie Gold and Michele Brourman, who is our guest joining us as well, Ken Hirsch, Steve Dorff, as well as John Buccino and Christine Lavin, Daniel Kinnear, and many, many more. Her series, Songs from the Source, created with singer and songwriter Michele Brourman, who again is joining us as well, has featured such luminary songwriters as Mike Stoller and Ali Wills and Alan Rich and Judd Friedman and Marcia Malame and Lori Lieberman, Lindy Robbins, and many others to also raise money too for the Songwriters Lifeline at the Actors Fund, which is a beautiful and very, very important cause. She's also executive produced 3 music CDs, Christine Lavin and Friends live at McCabe's, singer Mary Jo Mundy's tribute to the music of Laura Nyro, and the 4th Confession, and the newest studio album about to be released from singer-songwriter Jody Siegel. That is incredible. And our next guest as well, again, we have a duo here, and then we've got a special, very special video presentation that we're going to be telling you about in just a moment that I got a chance to preview, and it is really moving and it's really, really beautiful. Our next guest joining us as well is Michele Brourman. She's amazing too. She's an award-winning singer-songwriter whose best-known song, My Favorite Year, now a cabaret standard, has been recorded by the ambassador of the Great American Songbook, Michael Feinstein. And, you know, when you have that happen, that's amazing. Also, the late Margaret Whiting and Dame Cleo Lane, and many, many more. With lyricist Amanda McBroom, she's written the songs for 18 animated features for Universal Studios, including the beloved Land Before Time series, writing for artists like Reba McEntire, Michael York, David Carradine, and Jodie Benson, Olivia Newton-John, Donny Osmond, who we were just talking about actually moments ago, Corbin Bleu, and a host of others. She was a part of the Dylan Band for 2 weeks too. Oh, that's really cool. I hosted a special for PBS, Great Performances, which was celebrating it was looking back at a concert that happened at Madison Square Garden when it was the 30th anniversary of Bob Dylan and his music in the industry. It was a star-studded tribute, and that was for Great Performances. And I had an opportunity to host interview segments and more. That was really cool. Also has been musical director for Tony winner Bernadette Peters, and of course the late Dixie Carter, who was married to Hal Holbrook. Of course, you knew that, right? Her work has been featured in television and film and performed by countless cabaret artists, garnering numerous awards and critical acclaim. And she also told me, we were talking about TV hosts and radio hosts and people in the industry, and she worked with Dick Clark as well. So we are so excited to have both Hilary and Michele joining us live and direct from California. And I'm going to bring them on to join me here on the show right now. There is Hilary. There is Michele.
Hi.
It's good to see you both. Welcome. Are you comfortably in your homes or your offices? Where are you guys right now?
Well, go ahead.
No, I'm in my home office.
You're in the home office. And Michele, you are
in my music studio, which
in
is
the music studio.
Garage, you know,
yeah,
that's a garage studio, but it's a very nice garage.
Right. I was going to say, you know, that's what's happening because of everybody sort of being at home. Right. We are doing our own thing. I'm operating out of the home studio as well. And this is what we're doing to still be creative and to collaborate and get the word out. Right. And that's really important, isn't it?
It is. Well, this has been my workspace for 18 years. So, yeah.
And you too, Hilary, same thing, right? It's about
I'm really lucky because I also have a garage that's been converted into an office. And you know, I'm from New York originally, where you were like in a closet to sleep in. So I've got, you know, a compound.
So this is an upgrade. Yeah. So I'll start with you, Hilary. How did you when you look at your career, your illustrious career, and again, I could go on and on with the accolades and the credits. What first were those early inklings for you in your youth that really interested you in music and performance and the arts in the way that you've done it so beautifully in your career?
Well, first of all, thank you, because, you know, as my father used to say, when somebody would compliment you, could you run around the room and make it sound like a crowd? So,
you know what my father has always said? Can you please put it in writing and address it management?
So
same thing.
Fathers, that's kind of a segue into this, because I grew up in show business. My father was a producer and primarily a manager of comedians, big Woody Allen and Dick Robert Klein, you know, big name comedians in the 60s and 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Robin Williams, etc.
Mm.
And my mother was a singer. When she met him, she was a singer. I was, kind of steeped in show business and the arts from an early age. And I always loved music, and I played piano very poorly, and guitar very poorly, but I was a singer like my mother. And so my sister was a dancer, and I danced. I mean, we were kind of that, the play, You Can't Take It With You.
Yes.
Kaufman and Hart play. We were like the wacky arty family. And, but it was a great opportunity to have, I had amazing opportunities to be exposed to everything from the lowest brow to the highest brow in performance, in art, in show business. So I was hooked from, I think I came out just sort of wired for it. Ready to go. Then making a career out of it, that's another story. That takes a lot of twists and turns and so forth.
Absolutely.
Of all the things I sang and I danced and but really I was born a writer in terms of the way I looked at the world and the way I processed things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How about you, Michele? When were you realizing this is the field and the industry for me?
Oh, I came out singing. I, was born singing, and my parents sang, and my dad wrote songs, but only my father was in the Air Force in World War II, and his plane was shot down over Germany. So he was a POW for 14 months, and during the 14 months, he wrote songs. Not before, and not after.
Not after.
But he wrote really, really good songs. So yeah, there was music all around growing up, and it was by the time I was 3, I was playing and singing whatever I heard, 2 hands at the piano and singing it. Yeah.
So absolutely, yeah, genetic. I think if we look at, all 3 of us look at our family and our relatives and different people that we were exposed to early, there's elements of who we are and what we're doing now that can easily reflect on the parents and others, which really is amazing when you take time to look at it that way. How did you guys connect and collaborate? When did that first meeting happen?
I went to see our friend John Bacchino performing here in LA. And here's this woman with a crazy mop of red hair who's producing the concert. And she did a great, great job. And I walked up afterwards and introduced myself and basically said, "Hi, can I be your friend?"
And I remember it very differently. So because I was co-producing that with Amy Brothman, that performance, I have to give her props for that. And we were both in it as singers as well. But it was a great show, and John is a great, great composer. But there was Michele Brourman and Amanda McBroom sitting at a table. And, I have been a fan forever. So I've been watching Michele from a distance for many, many years.
Never met.
Never.
What's interesting is,
and I went up to her and said, "Do you only write with Amanda McBroom? I really want to work with you." And she was like, "No."
I'm open to. But what's also, first of all, we live like a mile away from each other, and we had never met until that night. And when you're in this business for a long time, you think you know everybody.
Right.
Well, Hilary knows everybody and I know everybody, but we know 2 completely different sets of everybody.
Different worlds, right.
Oddest thing. And so when we became friends, we also converged a lot of, our worlds started to
blend together.
Yeah, which is really great. We have, between us, we have, it sounds a funny way to put it, but we have a lot of reach. So when we decided to produce the songs from the Source concerts, we could together reach out to a lot of artists and bring in wonderful performers and a wonderful audience. We have a synergy that's really good.
So what was the very first project that you guys collaborated together on? Do you remember that first one?
Yeah, it was actually Songs from the Source, which was I pretty much was producer. I mean, Michele hosted it, and she was the sort of center as a songwriter. Michele has a long and illustrious career as a songwriter. I am a songwriter and by passion, but came to it rather late in my career. I was first a TV writer and playwright and essayist, and had worked as a writer for many years, but secretly wanted to be a songwriter, but didn't really know it or own it. And I don't play an instrument, so I had to work with composers. I'm a lyricist.
Right.
And when I started writing lyrics, it was a convergence for me of everything that I was before. A poet, an actor, a singer, a dancer, a writer, a producer. Oh, this was all in service of what I meant to be doing my whole life, which is writing lyrics to songs. So, but I came to it very late. So it was fairly recent for me. So I had already worn a hat as a producer for a while, and Michele was central to the series. It was her idea, and she knew a lot of the major songwriters that we had as guests, and she set up the charity aspect of it with the Actors Fund, but I was producing the live event. So, and she approached me because we'd met at this John Bacchino concert and we'd been in touch. We talked about writing together, but that really got sort of tabled for a couple of years.
A long time. When we finally wrote a song together, though, it's one of my favorite songs ever.
Yeah, it took a while to sort of find that. We started off wanting that, but it just didn't happen. And then when we found it, there's, I have a handful of composers I work with. Different people are right for different projects, but there are certain people that I know when I write a certain kind of lyric, I'm going to go, I can send this to this person. They know exactly where I'm coming from. They know exactly how to marry the music to the words for this. And Michele it's just a gift. And I knew it would be. Like, I knew it from watching her for years from a distance.
Isn't that magic? You just sometimes have that. You can have that, in your career when working with others. You can have it just with people that you meet on the street, where there's just this automatic, almost this sort of soulmate-ish a little bit, where you just get each other, you complement each other, you fill in each other's blanks, and you both understand quickly what the other one is trying to present and deliver and offer to the world. And it seems like the two of you have that sort of synergy and that symbiotic relationship that is so effortless and automatic.
Yeah.
I would say that's true.
Anything's ever effortless and automatic. I think we have to always apply ourselves with some consciousness, to every relationship. But that said, this one just feels so natural.
It does. I mean, for me, it was also, look, it's not that much this way now, but I'm a woman of a certain age, and I grew up in and around show business. A lot of it was nightclub and cabaret and comedy, but a lot of it was theater also, musical theater in New York. And I started off as an actor auditioning in that world and everything. And I saw musical director after musical director after musical director, and maybe saw one woman in that role, two at the most. It was unprecedented. And when I saw this, Michele is small, diminutive physically, big spiritually. When I saw this,
short, I'm very short. I'm really short.
I saw this petite little woman walk on stage and sit down at the piano and kill it. Just kill it. She's a brilliant pianist and musical director, as well as composer and singer-songwriter. And it just wasn't, you didn't see it that often then. You didn't see it at all. So
for years, for years that the Mabel Mercer Foundation has had those cabaret conventions, will be 3 nights. And I remember I was there like a number of times, different years, and there was Barbara Carroll, who was a pianist and singer who accompanied herself, and me. We were the only women at the piano. It's really hard. Now that's changed, by the way.
Yeah.
A fabulous woman composer and musical director named Georgia Stitt started, and you should have her on your program.
Love to.
Fabulous. And she started a group called Maestra, which is a networking and support group for women who are musical directors and composers. And I think some lyricists, I think maybe it's mostly musicians. It's
musicians, arrangers,
And this group has been growing. And because we need to know, I don't know why, certainly girls have always taken piano lessons. I know there's many talented women musically as men. I don't know why, but for a long time, I was the only one.
It was a power thing. I mean, there were women who played beautifully, women who were excellent pianists in classical, and it just was a boys' club in terms of the theater. You know, it just was a boys' club, and there was a part of it was, I think, this sense that, you know, the musical director is a director. You could be an accompanist. There were always musical accompanist.
Director is such a highfalutin term for accompanist, though. It really is.
But directors have to be able to work with you and make the choices that, I mean, there was a sexist prejudice against women can't sort of run the ship in that way. They can play rehearsals and dance rehearsals and so on, but are they gonna make?
I've never even seen that, Hilary.
You don't think that?
At least in my early years, I didn't even see women as rehearsal pianists. You just
and also lots of times the musical director is the conductor as well, unless it's a show.
Right. And
so
when
did you see the actual change for the better start to happen? Around what period of time?
I'm not sure. Because
80s, 90s, maybe?
I don't know, because I live here in LA, and here there are still very few women doing what I do. In New York, there are more,
it's
but
more
I don't
New York.
feel like I got to really witness that shift. But Georgia will know. Georgia's on it.
Yeah.
You, Hilary, you said TV writer, which I knew through my research. What were some of the cool projects you had in television?
Well, you know, the coolest one, at least, it's now cool if you're 35 years old. It used to be cool if you were 7 when I was doing it, was that I was a staff writer on the Mickey Mouse Club in the 80s. And
holy, wow, really? Oh, that's cool. That is still cool. Very cool. Hey, I whipped out Jeannie and George Burns a few minutes ago. That's very cool.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. It's always as cool as a 20/20 hindsight kind of thing. At the time, it was nice. It was great. It was a job. It was a paying job. But as a writer, I mean, it couldn't be better than that. But, you know, because of all the people who then came out of the Mouse Club and became superstars and so forth, you know, and what I was doing on that show was I was a staff writer, and we were really responsible for the sketches. Sort of, it was Saturday Night Live for kids.
Right, exactly.
For kids. So that was just fun. And I was the only woman in that writer's room. And I have to tell you, I had the best head writer and co-writers, all men. I'm grateful to say, it's not that I haven't experienced the sexism or the Me Too elsewhere, but that was a beautiful group of men. They treated me like I couldn't have asked for a more wonderful and supportive group of co-workers. So that was a great experience. The only problem was I had to live in Orlando, Florida, which in
that's
those
where they were doing it, right? Orlando.
And in those days, you know, Orlando was pretty boring. It has picked up since.
Because if you're in Florida, you want to be on the water. You want to be on one of the coasts.
Yeah,
not just
basically a swamp that they had drained and put air conditioning into. But it's better. So that is not supposed to happen. Somebody's supposed to take my dog.
Oh no, it's great. It's the way it is now, right? We're not in the studio, so it's like you don't have the crew. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, no, that's okay. So Michele, too, for folks that are watching, I listed out a lot of, you've got a beautiful, beautiful background and so many credits and so many beautiful projects you had an opportunity to work on. What are some of the ones for you, Michele, that really stand out, that really, you know, tugged at your heart, and the ones that when you look at your career are the ones that you were like, I'm so happy I was a part of that project?
Gosh, there are a bunch of them, but certainly I mentioned Dick Clark because I was a staff writer also for the John Davidson show.
John Davidson, yeah.
And isn't it wonderful? He's turned into a singer-songwriter with
gorgeous hair. Does he live in Mexico or something? Or I thought he lived.
I think he lives. I want to say in Massachusetts, but I'm not sure.
I know he's from Massachusetts.
I'm not in touch with him now, but that was one of my first television jobs, and that was fun. And then I worked on. I've written some theater musicals and had those produced. One of them was a show called Dangerous Beauty that we did at the Pasadena Playhouse. That was thrilling.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so where did he go? My newest, and I've been doing animation projects. So I brought a toy.
Oh, that's cool. Right there. Curious George. Oh, yeah.
Amanda McBroom and I have been writing songs for animated features for children since 1994. Our first one was the third sequel to Land Before Time. And so we've done 10 Land Before Times. We've written songs for Hercules and Xena, the animated movie. The Chipmunks Meet Frankenstein. That's a big thing. As an MD, I think working with Amanda and Ann Hampton Calloway and Dixie Carter, I missed it.
Oh yeah. And Captain Holly, she's a great friend too. She's very talented, isn't she?
She's incredible, and so is Amanda. And the three of us have been performing together with the name Divalicious, and to go on stage with those two, and it's just the three of us. I mean, once in a while we've had a band, but mostly it's just us carrying on, and that's pure joy. That's just about as good as it gets.
You, both of you, I mean, I can see the passion for what you do, and I can feel even through this, crazy technology that we're using now, I can feel the passion, the enthusiasm, the authenticity, the love of what you do. I think all of us have a certain love for the work that we do because, behind the scenes, there's so many elements that have to come together, and there's a lot of time and blood, sweat, and tears and toil and sacrifice and things you miss and things that you don't get to do because you have to finish this project, what have you. And I can see that the two of you, you've not only put the time in, but you've put so much of yourself into your works individually and collectively. And that's a beautiful thing when you get a chance to do that, isn't it? You're living your bliss.
Very lucky. You just remind me, Dixie used to say this thing. She would say, Michele, ma belle, I will sing for free anywhere anybody asks me to. What you have to pay me for is everything I have to do in order to get there and sing for free.
All right, yeah, the travel, the hotel.
And the preparation and the anxiety and the rehearsals and there's so much goes into it. You have to love it, because otherwise we'd do something else.
Right. Yeah. What would you do if there was that something else? Yeah.
I don't know.
Because you've done this so long.
I have a secret passion for medicine and psychology. And so
those are great.
On my little site, which will actually lead eventually to the story of this video, because on my little secret side thing, because I'm an artist, and I have the creative brain of an artist, and I don't have the memorized brain of a mathematician or a scientist, but I have a fascination for the biology and psychology. Yeah.
Right.
So my little secret thing is that I subscribe to these little online medical journals, most of which are unreadable to me. But every so often there's something I just like to know what's happening in that field.
Exactly. The only thing I would suggest, never get that big, thick, red AMA book. I made the mistake of buying that once in the bookstore, and I was reading it, and all of a sudden I was getting, or thought I was getting, everything that was in the book. Oh, your eye's twitching. Oh, that must be cancer behind the eyeball. So my mother says, throw that the heck out. You're absorbing everything.
Medicine, is that why you bought it?
Actually, an uncle had passed of colon cancer, and suddenly I started just reading up on that. Not a blood relative, but still, I was just fascinated, because I'm fascinated with it too. And I just all of a sudden said, you know what? I think it was about 25 when I got it. And I was just fascinated by all the different things about the human body and everything. But I was reading it, and I was like, and I was talking to another friend who said it happened to him too. You read it, and you end up almost absorbing everything that's in it.
Well, there's
Oops. I think Hilary.
But apparently, and there's one year where they go through the diseases sort of one by one. They are all sick the entire year with every psychosomatic
every single thing.
What they're learning.
You mentioned psychology too, and a lot of what we all do as presenters, performers, creators, involves the human condition, involves emotion, involves touching people's hearts, minds, and souls through our work, through the way we express our work. And so much of emotion and psychology really is in all of this work, isn't it?
Very much so. As a, and now aptly applied musical director, I've coached a lot of singers, and you can't enter a song unless you're willing to enter yourself. I mean, that's a simplistic way of putting it, but you have to be able to go where your feelings are, where your heart is, or you can't convey that. And so it becomes very intimate work. It's very tender.
Right.
And sometimes I forget how tender it is, and get very, like I had a singing teacher once who kept saying to me, because I was singing and playing, she said, you have to move more, you have to move more. And I wasn't moving. She grabbed the hair at the back of my neck and just started moving my head around.
For you.
That woman, I adored her. There wasn't a tender moment, so sometimes we can get so passionate about like what we're trying to elicit from somebody.
Right.
We're trying to get them to go to that place, and you can see it, you can feel it, and they can get there, but they have to choose it.
Right. Which means you have to be open, and you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable, and open to suggestion and any good comment or complimentary, critical comment, whatever it may be. You have to be open to be able to do all that. And that's a beautiful thing. I mean, I have found that too, with the work that I do as a host and an on-air person, that, could read a script, could read teleprompter, could do all of that. But my favorite role that I like to play is me as Jim Masters, because I get to express the elements of who I really am, and people will pick different elements that they can key in on that are relatable to them. And then we sort of click, because relatability and authenticity are essentials, aren't they?
Absolutely. They say in unison.
And the whole thing about this, of course, there's psychology and performance or writing or creation are intimately connected, because they are both attempts to, understand the human experience and the human condition. But there's also the other element of, it sounds so, I feel like I'm such a cliche when I say it, but more than ever, especially right now, the phrase art is the answer resonates, because we've seen it over and over again that people are really stressed by being alive and being human. It's not easy to be, life is hard. And what we do as artists is we channel, it's no easier for us. We're just as upset or angry or scared or sad or anything else as anybody else. But so we write about it or make something about it or express it. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs that. Everybody heals that way. Storytelling is what we're wired for.
And what's amazing too is how much, how therapeutic it is actually for you as well, as the creator, as the artist, as you're creating the work and as people are responding to the work. It's sort of a therapy for you as well. I mean, you're being enlightened, and as you're creating, you're becoming aware of yourself. There's a lot of self-awareness that comes into the work that you're doing as well, which is extraordinary. I mean, if you're writing a book or you're writing a screenplay or you're performing, whatever it is, there's elements of you that are in that, definitely, but you learn so much as you're doing it about yourself, as much as you are trying to present this wonderful piece for the public at large, right?
I read one writer, and I'm trying to remember who it was, said, how do I know what I'm feeling unless I write it? I don't know what I'm feeling until I write it. I think it was Hemingway, but it doesn't sound like Hemingway. So
no, it doesn't. I mean, you don't. And also, there's if you don't, if you subscribe to the idea that we are all one, and there's something to be said for that.
I subscribe.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. We are this giant living organism, right? Humanity, the world. and you can't, things are pressing on different parts of it like whack-a-mole, and it's got to come up somewhere, and it comes up through creative expression. So
Right.
that's why I think, there's been so much. I know people who are therapists who started off as artists and went into being therapists, and they do creative arts therapy. It's just incredibly powerful. Just powerful.
I think there's elements of being therapists, I think, in all of the work that we all do individually and collectively, there really is. And I also think, and I've interviewed some therapists recently on the radio, and we were talking about how we think, everything that we've been going through lately, pandemics, economic collapse, civil unrest, all these things that have hit us right at the same time in 2020, the start of the new year, the start of the new decade, that they're extraordinary things, but at the same time, it's sort of like it's a reset, a time where we have a choice to say, okay, everything that you can throw at us, including the kitchen sink, has come at us all at once, and we have to deal with it and work through it and collaboratively help each other and lift each other out of this together equally, fairly. I'm a Libra, so I'm about balance and harmony anyway. So it's like, yeah, balance, harmony, loathe injustice, see both sides of a question, that whole thing. So it's like, it seems like it's a reset where,
Yes.
I don't know if the earth, Mother Nature, the divine, whatever, said, you know what, I don't like where you guys are going with this habitat I gave you an opportunity to play with. And so these things happened. You're going to have to deal with them. We'll work through them, hopefully together. But I think it's a reset as far as this is a time when a lot of people really create. This is when leaders are born. This is when entrepreneurial spirit is developed. This is when innovation happens. And we have an opportunity now to say, look, we've been complaining for the longest time about how there's been a lack of empathy. Where's the kindness? Nobody says, please, thank you, you're welcome anymore. Nobody holds the door. Road rage. Everybody's on that side or that side. You can't have a middle. And Libras are very about, equalizing and taking extremes and bringing them to the middle. So we have an opportunity now where everything stopped. Doesn't matter your gender, your color, your background, your income, your zip code, whatever. The car you drive, the jewelry you wear, whatever it is, it stopped. And now we have an opportunity to sort of look at it all and say, what are we going to do with this? We don't want to go back to normal because normal really wasn't working out too well. We really want to strive for better. So we have an opportunity to really seize here through all of the horrific nature of everything that we've witnessed and have seen, and people we know personally who have also been affected, because we all are collectively affected. But it's a time that is monumental where we could all rise out of the ashes collectively and create a really beautiful place and experience if we really listen to each other and we care and we bring back that empathy and we continue to create and just move forward together, not individually like we were, because, we're social distancing and everybody doesn't like the social distancing. Yet we were already starting to do that before because we had our heads in our cell phones and we were stuck on social media watching what everybody else was doing. And it was all about the buzz and the bling and everything. And now we have to social distance and nobody likes it. So it's a little bit of a taste of what it could stay like if we keep it this way. So I really think that this is an extraordinary opportunity for everybody to really come together. And we're seeing it. Civil, economic, health, the big three, and it's a reset of some way. Do you guys think that it is of sorts?
Very much so. Yes.
Yeah, and in the best of all possible worlds, I have my moments where I'm despairing of our ability to reset, and I think, maybe you have to tear it down before you can build it up again. But the tearing down is so painful and frightening. Yeah. And we hope the phoenix rises from the ashes. Right.
Absolutely.
One of the interesting and encouraging things that I've been feeling, only maybe just even starting today, I'm noticing something about this wave of protests, that it hasn't stopped.
Right.
It's still going. it's the peaceful, and there's this sense of, we're not going to forget this. We're not going to make a ruckus for 2 days or 3 days and then forget about it. We're not going to step back from this. We're going to continue to speak out, because until this changes, we will not be satisfied. And
I think that's so right on, and really really a positive, because we're older. I mean, I marched against the Vietnam War, right, when I was 13 years old, giving away my age. And it didn't let up. It really didn't. And it really worked. I mean, it didn't work well enough, fast enough, etc. But hindsight of history will tell you that those protests eventually took Nixon and Johnson down as far as the war, and had an impact. And then all the protests that came after, I would say maybe not so much with the gay movement, because I feel like that really, there were a lot of people with the pedal to the metal on that movement. But most of the other times since then, there have been protests, and then there's been that sort of, oh, let's go shopping,
right,
distract
right.
us. And it feels, I have a 20-year-old, and she's at a protest right now downtown, possibly bringing home coronavirus to me when she gets back. I don't know. But, I'm not going to say to her, no, you can't go, because that's not how I was raised, and that's not how we want to raise her. And she feels passionately about this.
Right.
And I noticed that too, Michelle, that they got things under control, and people could have just said, okay, well, we made our stand to go home. They're going out every day, and we've reached a tipping point, I hope.
I got an interesting email. I forwarded it to you, Hilary. Here in Los Angeles tonight at 9 p.m., people are going to walk out just for, in front of our houses with flashlights, and hold our flashlights beaming upward, and stand there for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And it's significant. It's quiet, but it's very powerful. So I hope the word spreads. I hope every single person on my block is out in front of their house tonight.
And also, I think that we've all lived through, the nonviolent Dr. King, who took the nonviolence from God and so forth, and there and a case that came after that could be made about nothing changes without the violence, and without. But it's beautiful for me to see that there is everything's going on, but enough people, even my daughter and the young people, enough people are going, there's so much power in peaceful protest. The power is in standing up with your arms up,
and being purposeful, really being purposeful about it, and it's in the lyric of the song of ours that you're going to play, where, right, Hilary Rollins.
Yeah.
You ask yourself, what can I do? And it's a real question. It's a vital question.
And also the line before it, which is, they're going to ask where you.
They'll ask where you were. They'll ask when you knew.
This stuff is history. It becomes history. Which side are you on? Which side of history do you want to be on?
Yeah.
Exactly. Tell us about While There's Still Time. I know you just released this phenomenal new song and video, and we're going to share it here exclusively during this broadcast. And I'm so honored that you both, Hilary and Michele, wanted to do that here on the program, because I think, and I've watched it multiple times, and you know how things are when you listen to music multiple times, when you watch a film several times, read a book several times, every single time you pick up extra things you missed the first time.
Sure.
If you really sink in. And there was so much depth to and importance to that song and video. It's to raise money for direct relief. Tell us a little bit about that, the project, and what it was like working on that together with Maggie as well, right?
Maud,
That's
right. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Hilary, you start.
Oh, well, I was going to say you start, but okay. Direct relief. Well,
you're so kind people.
I started the song,
So going back a little bit to my little private obsession with medicine, You know, and as an artist and as a writer, I see metaphor everywhere. And so it was just the perfect, for me, it was fairly early in the pandemic. I was reading through my emails from something called Medscape, which is for doctors. It's a medical journal thing, sort of online thing. And as I say, most of it is unreadable, but every so often there's something I'm like, oh, I think I sort of know what they're talking about there. I'm going to read about that. And this was a video from a doctor on the website, and I don't even remember what he was talking about, but it had to do with the pandemic and how to behave in social distancing or something.
Right.
And at the end, it was very impassioned speech and very beautiful speech from this doctor. I don't recall his name. And at the end, he said, and I would like to end by intoning the words of the poet Philip Larkin. Well, I'm a Philip Larkin fan. He's a famous British poet. I knew him from a completely different poem, a very famous one about, you know, we'll go into that later. I don't know how whether we bleep on your audience or not, but this, he mentioned this, he said something about, I'm asking you all to, as Philip Larkin said, be kind to each other while there's still time. And I thought it just resonated for me with the pandemic, with the fact that it came from a scientist, a doctor, dealing with the pandemic and appealing to people through a poet, through the words of a poet. And that really resonated for me, because to me, they are the same thing. They are, you know, in their best versions, they're healers, right. The doctors. So I thought, well, you know, lots of good doctors and scientists turn to poetry and art for inspiration. They are not separate things. So I looked up the poem, and the poem is a beautiful poem called "The Mower," and I just knew then it was one of those, like the song wrote itself. I took and I was originally going to send it to Michele because we'd already written a song based on a poem. And I thought, she won't want to do another poetry song. I'll find another composer. But I mentioned to her in a conversation, and she said, send it to me right now. And then I'll let you take it from there, because she nailed it.
Send it to me, and she said, musically, I think it should be Dylan-esque. And I went, okay, I can do that. Backtrack. I was in Bob Dylan's band for 2 weeks, and it's too long a story to tell, but it was an extraordinary experience.
Must have been.
It really was.
So, just in a synopsis, a little bit quick summary. How did that happen?
I had a manager at the time who was a nutcase, but he was a good friend of Bob's, and he played a cassette. In those days, it was a cassette of some music for Dylan, and Dylan said, you think she'd want to be in my band? And I wound up going to his house in Malibu, where we spent, I don't know, about 3.5 hours together, just the two of us, playing through all of these songs. There was a moment when we were playing Like a Rolling Stone, and I had, you know, like I'm going, I'm in Bob Dylan's house, we're playing like a, you know. And it was the Budokan tour that I was going to join the band. They wound up having to cut a number of people. He had to cut the budget. He had way too many people. But Franny McCartney and Katie Segal were the backup singers. They got fired a week before me.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyways, leaving that behind.
It's amazing.
He handed me this lyric. It's a perfect lyric. It's just, you know, I mean, and again, you know, the music could write itself, and I just felt it so strongly. I love what it says. So I sent Hilary, you know, the music, and then she sent it to Christine Lavin, because Christine has been making these wonderful videos for songs of her friends, and Christine said, Oh, and I had said to Hilary, right as soon as we wrote it, I said, we should tie this to a good cause. I think Direct Relief, my son's in a band, and they had just done a benefit for Direct Relief. And Direct Relief is a very good organization. They're very effective. They're kind of on the ground and doing things. I started donating to them right after the huge, you know, Ventura and Montecito fires that we had here a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Because they just got in there and did things. So I said, well, they're doing stuff now. Let's tie the song to them. So we did. And then Christine said, I'll do the video for you because I think that's such a good cause and it's a really good song. So she made the video.
And do you know, I'm sorry, do you know Christine Lavin? You should have her on the show also. She's a brilliant folk singer.
I'd love to have her. Yeah, I would love to have her.
A marvelous artist.
Yeah.
And a generous heart. She's just extraordinary.
So it's
Maud Margaret has to say.
I was just about to say it was performed by the gifted recording artist Maud Margaret. How did Maud come into the picture?
Well, Maud has the voice of an angel. So, but
speaking of an angel, something happened with Michelle's light where it looks like she's an angel, doesn't it? It's the lighting. As we're talking about this, you look very divine and very blessed right now. There's a halo over you.
And it's a skylight. I can't do anything to stop it. I could make
the timing of it is like so perfect. Boy, she knows what she's doing, doesn't she? She timed that right. It's like a beautiful.
Thank God I did my roots yesterday. That's all I can say.
Well, God is a good interior decorator.
I was going to say, it's like she's in a beautiful like haze. It's gorgeous.
An aura.
It's an aura. So you were saying how the gifted recording artist Maud got involved.
Well, we both adore Maud, and so we called her up and said, "Would you sing this song?" And we sent her the song, and she's called back and said, "Yes, absolutely."
Yeah.
Got a small child, like I think two and a half now, Winifred.
Yeah.
And I mean, she records. So, and of course, we were already in lockdown. So but she's married to a very wonderful songwriter, David Lucky, and so he's got a recording set up in their apartment or house. So she recorded. I sent her, the initial track.
Mm-hmm.
Recorded her vocal. Then I called this phenomenal engineer, producer, composer, arranger that I have been doing all my production work with since 1995. His name's Stefan Oberhoff, and he's a genius. And I called Stefan and I sent him everything we had, and he added, I had a sample guitar, bass, and a piano. He added a live guitar, and then he added this extraordinary kind of pedal steel. You hear this very haunting sound, and then he did, he knows how to tweak, and it's like he's putting this kind of light around Maud's vocal.
You're not in the witness protection program or anything, are you?
I don't know if I turn my computer
a little bit better. Yeah, a little bit better.
It's
just amazing. It's like the sun. It's like the divine is just.
Oh no, that's worse. Jeez.
Well, you know what I'll do? I will.
I'm gonna try to.
I want to play the video and the song for everybody because I want them to really see it and feel it as I did. And again, it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of work. Maud, spectacular in this, and you guys, just really knocked it out of the park with this.
But before you do, can we just add one thing?
Oh, absolutely.
We also have a new version of the song in Spanish that was translated and performed by an extraordinary woman, singer-songwriter. Ali Olmo is her name, and we've been friends, I don't know, for 40-something years. Yeah. And I called her and said, could you make, so if you want this song to also go to Spanish-speaking countries or people here.
Right.
So anyways.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. We have so many, I'll scroll through these again, so many great comments coming in. Two people are loving the interview. Renee Katz, great interview. Two talented and beautiful people. Arston Greenfield, I love this interview. Very beautiful and informative. Kathleen Walker, hopefully people will learn to appreciate the little things again. She's in New York City. Karen Iani is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I am fascinated by these two creative artists. Wonderful interview. Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh. Hello to Pittsburgh and Karen. Joanne Mort says, hi, Hilary and Michelle. And this is terrific. And Ralph Lampkin, of course. There you are. Hello, Michelle and Hilary. And tons of great comments. We get so much great interaction and feedback on this show. And I love to bring the viewers in because, again, they're the reason why we do what we do. Let's share while there is still time. And it's a very poignant, it's a very moving and a very touching song and video, and I hope everybody enjoys it as much as they enjoyed putting it together, and as much as I am honored to share it with you here on the show. And then we'll come back and we'll chat a little bit more about it and what it was like putting it together. Here we go. This is While There Is Still Time. Enjoy.
A poet of sorrow wrote 3 simple lines, a plea that tomorrow may come to weigh heavy on all of our minds. A poet is no one, as most poets find, but sister and brother, take care with each other, for we should be kind while there is still time. There's rain and there's thunder before there is flood. The signs and the wonders that warn of the spilling of blood. And mountains will crumble, they're just rock and mud. So sister and brother, take care with each other, for we should be kind while there is still time. Where you were, they'll ask when you knew. They'll ask what you did, so ask yourself, what can I do? You poets of sorrow, don't drown in your tears. The songs of tomorrow must rise from the ashes of fear. Will you stand and bear witness, reminding mankind that we're all connected, our lives intertwined, and we must awaken the willfully blind? Oh, sister and brother, take care with each other, for we should be kind while there is still time. While there is still time. While there is still time.
Absolutely. Breathtaking, absolutely beautiful. And you know, what's amazing about it, I know you guys have said that this song sort of took on a life of its own. And when you mentioned it to Maud, she immediately wanted to be a part of it and sing the song. Christine wanted to bring it to life with all of the images. And I know, Hilary, you were struck by the fact that it grew out of an intersection of medicine and poetry, right?
Exactly. And there's art to science, and there's science to art, and we have lost some of our I feel, there's science and truth, and the truth of art and the truth of science has been under attack. And I think you gotta have one with the other, the humanness of what, because what are doctors ultimately about? They're about healing. What is art ultimately about? It's about expressing and healing. So it was for me, it was like, okay, it's just, my fingers just, I don't take credit. I mean, I don't say that lightly, because writers say that all the time, but there are some where you get an idea and you work it. And there is some where sometimes you're just like, okay, the poem is here. It's coming.
You are the facilitator and the conduit of something greater than yourself that is flowing through you and out.
Yes.
And that's beautiful when that happens, right, Michele?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So what was it like for you working on this? I mean, kudos to everybody involved. It is beautiful. Maud's voice is spectacular. And of course, this helps raise funds for Direct Relief, which is a very, very important organization, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
It is.
And they do it worldwide. It's not just in this country. It's not, it's people in need anywhere. It's like the Doctors Without Borders. That's
right. And they're not just about the COVID crisis, but they happen to be on the ground, on the spot in this. And one of the things that they've been trying to do is to get, remember early on in the beginning of this, all of our healthcare workers, they didn't have masks, they didn't have protective gear. And so one of the things that Direct Relief immediately jumped in to do was to get them the protective gear that they needed. So we don't know how many people have donated because of this song and this video, but I think it's a lot. And hopefully there are people who are safe because we wrote this song.
Yes, absolutely.
Usually as a songwriter, whatever we do, whoever we touch, it's indirect. I mean, unless somebody writes to you and said, I love that song you wrote, it made me cry, or we played it at our wedding. You don't know. You send the work out. Right. And you can't see tangible results from what we do. And sometimes that's very frustrating.
Right, exactly.
But here, like, we did something and there's a tangible result and somebody's safer because of it.
Right.
And that means somebody else got better care because of it. And
it's giving back. It's giving back. I mean, you've had, wonderful careers and spectacular experiences. And when we have these opportunities, all of us, I love working with charities. I love emceeing charity events. I love rolling up the sleeves, being a part of helping, like you guys as well. And there's nothing more beautiful. And here you get to express what you do, the creative side of you, but for a reason and for a cause that has such a greater and even larger, more vital impact, longer lasting impact as what the folks at Direct Relief do. And I want to let folks know it's a worldwide organization providing medical supplies and equipment to the world's neediest and the workers on the front lines as well. And I mean, talk about front lines. We've been seeing that even with just COVID, all of the nurses, all the doctors, rolling up their sleeves and doing what they can. And it's a true testament to their passion and what they do as well. And this is beautiful work because you're expressing and using your gifts and your talents and doing it to help others in an extraordinary and long-lasting way. And I think that's a beautiful thing that all of you have done collectively.
I think so too. Also, I feel like this song and what the song says will carry forward. When this crisis will thankfully be behind us, it's still meaningful. Like last over those past days, reading about all of the chaos and this explosion that's going on, I kept thinking, well, we should send our song out to that too. We should be kind with one another.
That's the bottom line. I'm starting to cry talking about it because it's so. I have friends who are not on the same side politically as I am, but we are human beings who love each other. We discuss politics, throw bombs at each other. We talk about things. They're never going to change my mind about certain things. I'm never going to change their mind about certain things. But we have civil discourse about it, and we're richer for it because the guiding principle is that we're kind to each other, that we're human beings, that we are all one. And when you cut off one artery, the other one suffers. So that's really what the song came out of the COVID crisis, but I specifically didn't want to tie it to health or medicine or I wanted to. It's what the poet Philip Larkin, he just talked about the day after a death. The loss is so profound for everyone, even those who are not part of the death. So find while there's still time. That's it.
Right.
It's going to give me a prize at the end of all of this.
Well, as much as the halo that surrounded Michele earlier, the timing of this song is so appropriate, so apropos for the times that we are in right now. This song is even deeper and larger than even the initial reason why you guys put this together. It is one of those, it's like a standard in a way. It's an anthem. It's something that you can go back to, regardless of what the situation is, regardless of what the scenario is. And that song the words, the way she sang it, the visuals, the instrumentation, all of it just is something that transcends time, I think. It's like one of those time capturing types of songs that you will always remember when you hear it, and it moves you. It moves your heart and your soul. I mean, I was moved when I heard it. I love stuff like that. I love things that have meaning and depth because I like to go deep. If you haven't already realized that about me already with this conversation, I like to go deep. I like to go to the core. And a couple of friends tease me. They say, Jim, when you talk normally, like when we're on a train or just whatever, you speak like you're always interviewing. I said, I do? They said, yeah, you always ask questions. You always like, so how are you? And why did you decide to do that? And what is it about that? And And I said, I realized that I always want to know the why before anything else, because I need to feel it. And whatever the thing is, whatever we're going to work on, the project, whatever it is, I need to know the why, because if I feel it, then we can do the how and the what and the nuts and bolts and build whatever the thing is. But it's pretty much the why that I need to feel in order to be able to then move on to some of the other things that we're going to create and do. And the, interviewing in my normal speech pattern, I guess, is because a lot of times when I ask questions of people that I do interview and just chat with, even in the supermarket, it's questions to make them feel good and to celebrate them, but it's also answering questions I have in my own mind about myself and some decisions. Why did you do that? Or what was it about that made you go that way instead of that way? I'm showing interest in the individual and celebrating the individual, and also asking questions for myself at the same time. Pretty fascinating, huh?
There's I don't know who said this, but it's a great quote about why writers write. They say writers write about the things that they don't understand, what things they want to understand. What you don't understand, well, how can you write about it if you don't understand it? That's why you write about it. You're trying to discover in writing what is that sticks in your craw in some way that makes you go, I need to know more about this, or I need to understand this, or I need to manage how
exactly.
Yeah.
And I truly believe we all have gifts, we all have talents, and we all have something to contribute. We all have something to give, and we're all valuable and we're all worthy. I know people, especially right now, there's a lot of people who are not feeling any of that, but I think there's a reason why we're all here, and we truly need each other and depend on each other. And the world was built with the expectation that we would all sort of play off each other and complement each other and grow together. And I think through the work that you do so beautifully in the arts, and all of us, the work that I do as well, and broadcast and what have you, we're sort of like the stewards in a way. People look to us as those who maybe can create comfort and solace and beauty and remind people that there are beautiful things on the earth. Like on this social media scenario here that I've been doing, the Jim Master Show Live, I've been telling people that regardless of what's going on, the sun will rise and set, the birds are still chirping, the ocean tide will still come in, even with everything that's going on. And if we can sort of still focus on those constants in life, and usually sometimes even with this show, I post video where when I take them on location, I show them constants of life, a garden, the ocean tide, a squirrel going up a tree, to remind us that things will still be here and through everything, no matter how hard things get in our lives, whether it's something like what we're going through now, or it's one thing that happens to us individually. It's reminding us of the loved ones, the friends, the fact that we have our health. And again, some of the constants of the spin of the earth turning on its axis are there. And if we focus on some of the good and some of those constants, it gives you some of the stamina and the resilience to get through sometimes almost anything that life can throw at you, right?
And sometimes it can be something so small, or, just to take take a moment where you notice something that's beautiful, that's exquisite, and you give yourself that moment, and that moment replenishes you. And then you go on with whatever else you need to do.
Right.
Those moments are so important. We need those breaths, those pauses that we take to look at something.
Exactly. And that's what we weren't doing so much before. We were everybody was running, and we had to get this, and we had to clear out the inbox and answer the emails and But when you take the time to breathe, and I also like to reflect, if we just accomplished something, I like to pause on it and celebrate what we just did, and all the work that went into it, and all of the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. Because I think everything is threaded together in life. I think what you do today, what you think today, what you say today connects to what happened yesterday, but also sets up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very true.
It does, it's really, and one thing that I always tell people too is what you just said, relax. We picked this up at a shop in Newport, Rhode Island when we were on a family vacation, and it's really cool. It says relax, but it's like an old 1920s beach scene with people on the beach in Newport.
Nice.
Yeah, so I always show this.
Kitchen in your house.
I have a lot of cool little things here. Yeah. And I tell people, that, and I always tell them as well, I think that, I may be the star of the show, but I think you're a star as much as I might be as the host of the show. Little things like that to remind us all that, we're here for a reason. And again, you guys, you do that in everything you do. I mean, in the work that you do, in this body of work that you've done all your life, it's breathtaking. What have you not done, both of you, that you still would love to do? What's on the Michele bucket list?
Gosh.
Big question, I know.
It is a good question. I don't know. I feel like I've been so fortunate. I've done just about everything I wanted to do. I mean, early on, I would have had an immediate answer and would have said, I want to hit record, and I want to, be like a renowned recording artist. And that was my goal for a long time. But life has led me so beautifulally, and I have such a marvelous life and a marvelous career, and it's exactly enough. That gives me chances to grab my breath in between things, and it lets me still be a private person, and yet it gives me opportunities to perform. I used to say, one of the reasons any of us want to be really successful at what we do is because then you get to work with the best people.
Right.
I'm working with the best people.
Right.
It doesn't get any better. I work with the very best people that I adore and who are also great human beings. So I don't think I have a bucket list.
That's a beautiful thing to say, that it's enough, that you're really, because that means you truly appreciate all the elements and all the nuances and all the experiences and all the people and all the moments. You're experiencing the ride and the journey as it's happening, not just focused on the home run, but you're up at bat and you're enjoying the time up at bat.
It's so funny, Jim. I actually wrote a song a few years ago called "The Joy of the Ride." And the hook line is I'm in this moment here for the joy of the ride. And I wrote the song and just went, I'm surprised. I didn't think I felt that way, because this was still a while ago. but it is, oh, and that's, by the way, the one that Corbin Bleu recorded, and it wound up being the end title song for The Little Engine That Could.
Oh,
But I'd written the song totally independent of that, but I more and more, the longer I live, the more I feel that way.
Exactly. How about you, Hilary? Same thing?
yeah. I mean, yes. And Michelle knows that I look to her for sometimes that kind of spiritual nourishment, because I can turn into a nasty cynic at times. So I'm sorry, I'm not leaving. I'm staying comfortable. The first thing I want to say is I love what I do. I'd love to get paid for it.
Yeah, I know.
But mostly, as far as bucket lists, I mean, I am very, 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 very grateful, because I knew when I was 8 years old that I was a writer.
Yeah.
Everybody in my family said, "You're a writer." I said, "You're right, I'm a writer." It took me a good 20, 30 years before I really settled into, I struggled with making myself do it. It was like I did everything but write for a long time.
Now, were you a perfectionist about it? Yeah. I asked you because I know what I learned, and I've told a few people who've mentioned perfectionism, and I think a lot of people in our industry have elements of that, that drives us trying to attain it. So what I stopped saying was striving for perfection, which can be like a square box, and sometimes it's not achievable, and does it really exist? So now I say, I'm not necessarily striving for perfection. I'm striving for excellence. Similar, but excellence allows you to breathe a little bit more than perfection.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Michelle.
My son Luke, who's a phenomenal, I have two sons, Noah and Luke, and I adore them both. But Luke has this great saying, and he's thrown it at me a few times, where he'll say, "Mommy, perfect is the enemy of good."
That's right.
And it is. And even excellence is a judgment, that sometimes can trap us. Sometimes what we just want to do is make whatever it is we're going to make and see what it needs to be.
Don't put so many expectations on it.
Don't put any valuation words on it at all. Just see what it is. Let it be what it is. Because as soon as we start to ask ourselves, well, is this original? Is this new? Is this...
You start dissecting it, and you start like tearing it apart. Well, a perfect example of that in a basic form is we went on a cruise. I was working for a radio station for iHeartRadio, and I hosted a radio show for 18 years on iHeartRadio. And we had a cruise to Bermuda with the host and all the listeners. The first year we went, everything was perfectly programmed and already pre-scheduled by the travel agency. Okay, at 4 o'clock, you're here. At 2 o'clock, you're here. At 3 o'clock, you're snorkeling. 4 o'clock, you're on the catamaran. And it was like going from thing to thing to thing to thing. At the end of that, everybody hated it because it was so scheduled, and it was so just, we went again with a whole other group a couple of years later, and we all did what we wanted. There was no time constraint. We just went, and whatever road we went down, and curve we went around, and rock we went over, was new to us. And it was an experience that we were experiencing together, but nobody had any prerequisite as far as what it was going to be about. And that was far more enjoyable than the overscheduled holiday. Totally.
And the lesson that, really what you have to do is show up.
Yes.
And be there. Once you get there, be there.
Be present. Be in that moment. I mean, I need to learn that lesson every minute of every day.
Yeah, life is a continual learning process. Yes. We're learning every day.
It's not good enough. I didn't do enough today. I didn't do enough yesterday. I beat myself up, beat other people up. It's an easy place to get sucked into. But
does it help you when you do that? Does it help make you better because you're paying attention to what you're doing? I say that because, and a lot of people, colleagues of mine, sometimes are surprised when I say it. Sometimes when I do work in television and other areas, when I know it's going to air, when they show it, usually when I first see what I've done, I don't like it. I myself, everybody else is like, my God, you hit the mark. You were excellent. You were terrific. You were smooth. You were easy. You were great to work with. I love the way you did it. And I'm looking at it like, because I think I see it originally, even like this. I'm seeing this out of my peripheral zone, how I see it coming out of my eyes. Now I'm seeing it in reverse, how everybody else sees it. So I'm looking at all these different nuances of my work, and I'm sort of analyzing it and sort of dissecting it. And I'll say, if people are around, I'll say, now, when we watch this, if you can, remove the fact that you know me. And would you be convinced and persuaded by that guy you see on the screen there? Would that be, so I'm looking for some of the feedback, but at the same time, I don't like usually what I see and hear immediately, only because I'm so emotionally invested in it. So I need to detach all of the emotional and physical investment I've put into that body of work. Now I can pull out things I did on PBS and elsewhere, 15, 20 years ago, VHS tapes, and watch it. And I'll say, you know what? Under those conditions, with that level of experience, that actually was pretty good. And everybody was saying it was good back then, but I wasn't hearing it because I was analyzing it deeply because I care about what it is. So for me, and I don't know if it works the same for you, I'm sure it does for both of you, I almost need to have the emotional attachment separated for me to sometimes to like what I've done at the level that everybody else enjoys it.
Yes.
And it helps me grow.
Yes.
Yes. And when
video shows, I can't watch them.
Oh, I can't listen to myself sing either. It's the balance between self-criticism, self-awareness for growth and self-criticism for destruction. Critique.
Right. It's a balance.
Yep.
Exactly.
For it, right? She always talks about the lacerator.
I do. Yeah.
The critical part of yourself that just tears you down and you don't get a lot of value. You don't learn what you need to do better. You just learn that you're no good and you shouldn't even try. Yeah. And it's encouraging the part that goes, that was good. And here's what could be better next time.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I would never hold anybody else to the standard that I hold myself to,
Right. That's the other thing too, is the standards that right. I've said those words too to people, even family and friends that say, my God, that was amazing. And I'll say, to me, it didn't meet the standard that I have. They're like, oh my God, well then lose the standards because that was great. Sometimes, that can get in the way a little bit. We have a lot of great comments coming in here. Isigari, who's in Barcelona, Spain, says salute to all of us. And Renee Katz says wisdom through these artists. And Kathleen Walker says, true, we all need to feel like we matter. And Joanne Mort says, we write to understand. Yes. Karen in Pittsburgh, very touched by the video. And Austin Greenfield says, that is a very beautiful and touching video tribute to our heroes in the medical profession. And Martha Oliver Swartz says, wow, what an awe-inspiring video. It made me cry. Hits right in the heart. So beautiful. Thank you. And lots of claps and high fives from Ralph. And let's see, we have Sherry, who says, what a wonderful, sensitive, and timely discussion that we are having. And Renee says, gorgeous. And Martha says, this is an amazing interview, ladies. You are fabulous. So I think in addition to showing the fabulous and very important video and introducing you to our audience, I think the conversation that we're having is inspiring people in ways that maybe they didn't think were going to happen. And I love when that happens because I like to really get an understanding of where people are coming from and inspiring and empowering people. And you guys do such a beautiful job of that every single day of your life. And, kudos to the both of you. I want to toast you as well. You got your glasses?
Yes.
Anything still in them?
A little more in. Oops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Refill, right? All right.
You, Jim.
So,
Cheers, Jim.
Cheers to you and you and you. There we go, without spilling it on our keyboards, right?
I also want to say that all these wonderful people giving us such positive feedback, which is so beautiful to hear. Please, the videos on Facebook, we're going to re-release it again with the Spanish language one. Share it. Share it widely, because the idea is to raise money for the cause.
Absolutely.
You know, we just wanted to get to as many corners of the earth as possible, and we're going to be releasing the Spanish language one as well.
That's beautiful.
And then, you know, we're really open to other translations in other languages. We want to work with people to kind of keep this rolling forward,
right?
Because it's a worldwide message, and you know, and honestly, right now we don't take a dime for any of this. This is all going to direct relief, so everybody can just feel good about just hitting people up with the song and the video to raise money for something that's going to benefit really all of us, I hope.
Which is a beautiful thing. Before we get ready to wrap, are there other projects that you guys are working on right now that maybe you've also been working on while we've been sort of homebound and you know, in the isolation and everything? Anything that you're working on, Michele?
I am. I held up my Curious George thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just starting on the kind of second back end, the second half of the production aspect of a new Curious George movie.
Wow.
Which is great. And it's an interesting challenge because we've got to do all the production remotely. So I'm working on remote sessions with Stefan. We have a singer who's in Ojai who's going to be recording his vocals there. So I'm working on that. And you mentioned Hallmark earlier, and Amanda and I are writing a new musical with a marvelous book writer named Dwayne Poole, who writes tons of movies for Hallmark and Hallmark Hall of Fame. So he's a wonderful writer. So been working on that. It's been a very creative time for me because I don't have to get on a plane or pack a bag or leave home. So yeah.
So you've been able to dig deep and focus and come up with a lot of great material, which is wonderful. How about you, Hilary? Same thing?
Well, yeah. I mean, at the beginning, I was more creative than I've ever been. I had so many projects. Then I had kind of a slump where, just because of what's going on now with the protests and everything, I did feel overwhelmed. Like, this isn't the world that like I said, we marched and here we are again, still. So, but I mean, I have so many projects. This came up in the middle of other projects, and then we went with this because this is what was happening. So I'm writing songs, I'm working with other songwriters on a group song project. I'm writing a one-woman show, which was going to be for my birthday. I was going to perform it on my birthday in October. Now we don't know that there's going to be live theater, So this also, as a producer, I've been, all the stuff I was producing was live. It was all right. Theater. So now I've spent a good part of this time kind of getting myself educated as other people in this position, artists and performers and producers, are looking at what can we do online.
Yes.
What we can't do online, what really has to wait for theater, how do we adapt to this new normal? So I'm becoming a Zoom webinar expert.
Amazing what happens, right? You can add extra things to that resume now. All right.
Right.
So I'm working. I thought I would put down the producing and just concentrate on writing in this time. And in fact, what's happened is I'm producing and writing equally, or if not more, and producing just as much, because it's what we do.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
And you do it well.
I was supposed to be in Australia right now.
Right.
Were you really?
Yeah, I was going to be at the Adelaide Festival this weekend with Amanda and Anne. I just realized, I thought, and here I am.
And here you are. Well, we are blessed to have you here too.
Thank you. We're blessed to be here.
It's wonderful to meet both of you, and I hope we get a chance to stay in touch further, and who knows, maybe even work together at some point. I think there's a reason why people are brought together. I really do. Whether you meet somebody, you know, in the supermarket or whatever it may be, there's a reason why paths cross and why people are brought together, because we all have something to contribute. And it's an honor and a joy and a blessing truly to have both of you, Hilary and Michele, veterans in the industry. You've created so much extraordinary work. You continue to bless us all with it. And I tip my hat and I raise my glass. George Burns does as well, to both of you. Yes, absolutely. To George and Jeannie, right?
George. Yeah.
You guys are amazing. And I hope you enjoyed your time with me here. I know you've got to depart onto other things, but this was a fascinating conversation and a wonderfully inspiring conversation. And I hope you enjoyed your time with me as much as I have with you.
We've had a great time. Thank you. Thank you. And more than I expected, really. And it's a delight. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Hilary, thank you very much. Michele, thank you very much. And we'll stay in touch and love you both. All the best to you both.
Back at you.
I just have to toast with water.
The toast, hey, water is very good for you. H2O, very hydrating. And I think we have another comment coming in before we, let's see. Oh, more comments coming in. Yes. What do we have here? Oh, in Spanish. Loves this. She's in Barcelona, Spain.
Oh,
If we can get,
you'll have the video soon. Send us your e-address and we'll
if
you
you
have it. Or friend us on Facebook.
yeah.
Nice interview from Kathleen as well. Ladies, this was a blessing and an honor to meet you both. And I know it won't be for the last time. Thank you very much for being on my show. I wish you a beautiful rest of your evening. Keep the faith. Remember, as we said, to relax, count your blessings, and we'll see you again. The door is always open. You're always welcome as my guest on the show.
Thank you.
Jim.
You're very welcome. You have a good night.
You too.
All right. Take care. Thanks for being with us. Bye-bye now. Good night. Aren't they terrific? I'm talking about true artists, people who really care about the greater good and about people, and they are just so extraordinary. And I tell you, that is one of the blessings of doing this show that I'm doing here for you nightly. We get a chance to get into some really good conversations. You know, a lot of times when you see interviews or you have conversations with people, it's sort of cookie cutter. It's sort of just question, answer. And in like 5.5 minutes, you rush through, you're done, and you think you have a sense of who the people are, but you really don't get a good sense of who they are. So then you have to Google and Wikipedia and do everything else. Well, the interviews that I like to do, I like to really get a good sense of who the people are and share them with you. It's what I've always done actually in my professional work in television and radio, is to spend some time, because we are rushing all the time. We don't have, you know, they say in that wonderful song, while there is still time. So time is very precious. Time is a gift and time is never guaranteed. So I hope you enjoy these interviews when we do have our very special guests on the show. And again, we have segments too and episodes where we just do fun things together. We have a lot of, we have a hoot of a time. But when we have the guest interviews, I really love to give you an essence, or allow the guests to give an essence to you of who they are. So you're left with an understanding of why people do what they do and why they've chosen their career paths and why they believe in what they believe in. And I think you got a good sense of Hilary and Michele this evening on the show and the kind of people that they are. They're very empowering, very inspirational, and beautiful people. And the work that they do in all the different ways, shapes, and forms is very touching and very moving and really, really extraordinary. And I just really enjoyed the time with them, and I hope you did as well. And again, some more comments coming in here. I just want to say thanks again, because you're listening to and watching the Jim Master Show live. We are here every night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Did I sign up for that every night? Yeah, every night we're here with incredible guests, terrific segments, music, food, on location, a whole host of great things here on this entertainment lifestyle talk show that 5 weeks. 5 weeks ago, we launched this. And again, this is what I do professionally. I'm a television radio host and presenter and journalist and actor and all. But so many of you wanted me to do this, and I'm so blessed to do it every night for you. And we have some really cool people that join us. And Allison Lewis, thank you very much, Allison. I'm glad that you're with us. Great interview. We appreciate that. I hope you'll be with us here on Jim Masters TV. All the archived episodes are available on the YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. Everything is there. You can even see some of my professional work as well. And also here on Facebook at Jim Masters TV. And I'm here every night with great episodes and shows on this talk show here. It's truly been a blessing. And as we talked about, the three of us, Hilary, Michele, and Jim, relax, breathe, remember to count your blessings, the joys in your life, your loved ones, your friends, your health, your passions that you get a chance to live. Again, life throws a lot of monkey wrenches our way, but if you can take time to just cherish and savor, like Michele and Hilary were talking about, and they do so beautifully in their work, and I like to do in my work as well, savor every moment of life, because again, it's short, it's not guaranteed, and it really is beautiful. As I said, the tide will continue to come in, the birds will chirp, the sun will go up and down, and if we focus on those beautiful things in life, we can get through some of the, not only craziness, but some of those deeper and darker periods that life can throw our way as well. So I raise a glass to all of you. I'm your host, Jim Masters. We've got a little wine here, and very tasty. And our friends, George Burns and Jeannie and all the rest of the cast of characters. Thank you very much for joining us. As I say, of course, during the course of the broadcast, I may be the host and star of the show, but I think each one of you are a star. You're valuable. You have a reason to be here. We all do. And you are valuable. You're valuable to me and to, I'm sure, a lot of other people in your world. And thanks for being a part of my world tonight and every night at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Jim Masters Show Live. The show is still growing. It's 5 weeks old. And we have a lot of fun putting it together. A lot of work behind the scenes, building it and creating it. But I tell you, the response we've been getting and the love and support has been, it's really moved me. People from around the world discovering this. So share the links, tell your friends, have watch parties. Let's make it a party. And I thank you very much for joining us again. You guys are really a blessing. And I want to thank my guests again, Michele Brourman and Hilary Rollins. They are two spirited and beautiful people, and they're magical. And again, having an opportunity to chat with both of them was really terrific, and I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back tomorrow night. I want to show you some of the guests that are coming up as well. We like to do that during the course of the show. We're going to be having Buffy Ford Stewart on the show. Buffy Ford Stewart, singer, songwriter, children's book author. She lives in just north of San Francisco, and I did a whole television interview with her. They flew me out to California, and she opened up her world to us. We sat on her white couches with her dog Lucy next to her, and she opened up her whole life to us. And she is a very beautiful person inside and out. Her husband passed away in 2008. He was, and she still tells his story, and she's working on a major motion picture about his life. Her husband was Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart is the singer-songwriter who wrote the song Daydream Believer for Davy Jones and the Monkees. He also wrote Gold that Elvis sang. He was one of the founding members of the Kingston Trio. We got a chance to see so much of their life together, the children, the grandchildren, when she actually opened up her entire home to me and the crew for Close-Up Television in New York. And that was absolutely beautiful. And we've become very close friends ever since. And here are she and Jon in the early years. They performed together as well. She still performs. She's an extraordinary, lovely person, and she'll be here next week. Tomorrow night, saxophonist Mike Casey, who just released a new album today, he'll be joining us tomorrow live at 7 p.m. Eastern as well. Very excited about that. He's a good friend as well. Dwight Turner, who is a brilliant television, filmed, and commercial actor, Screen Actors Guild. He's going to be joining us as well. Mark Vitale. Now, Mark Vitale, he's a dear friend as well, and he was he played Jesus and Jesus Christ Superstar on Broadway, and he's a veteran of Broadway, singer and performer of all kinds. He's just an incredible actor and singer, and he's a real cool guy too. Composer Tim Janis, a dear friend. We worked on a PBS special last year together with the whole crew, and that was filmed up in Maine as well as in Ireland. And I usually MC his big Carnegie Hall concert on stage at Carnegie Hall in New York every year, his big holiday concert. He'll be here in coming weeks. The brilliant actress Clara Francesca, she's very, very excited to be with us, and she's going to be with us in about 2 weeks as well. We're very excited to have her here. The award-winning and extraordinary guitarist John LaBarbera, he plays every kind of instrument you can think of when it comes to strings, even the bouzouki. If there's a guitar, he plays it, and he's extraordinarily talented and amazing, and a dear friend as well. Kip Sturgeon, a brilliant, brilliant performer. He's going to be with us on June 19th. We're going to have him on Friday, June 19th. He's an extraordinary musician, great guitarist, and even more than that, a really, really terrific person. And also, I mentioned Paul Green, who you see in all those Hallmark movies, especially at Christmas time. He's an incredible singer, actor. He's a great guy. He loves to inspire people and empower people. Paul Green is a Canadian actor and performer and singer, and he's going to be with us next week. That's right. I think it's going to be Wednesday. He's going to be with us next week. He's all excited about it. And we see each other every year at the Carnegie Hall concert that I MC with Tim Janis and everybody. And we're also going to have on Monday, I'm very excited about Monday. This is Mike Reese, and Mike is a television writer and producer, and he has been with The Simpsons for years. That's right. He's a producer and writer for The Simpsons, and he's going to be on the show Monday. He's all excited. I'm very excited as well, especially, being a TV person myself. I can't wait to have a great conversation with him. Again, he's been a writer on The Simpsons and a producer for The Simpsons for years. He's going to be joining us as well. And this fine gentleman, Lionel Ketchian, created something really, really inspirational many years ago called the Happiness Club. And it's an international organization. And again, what better time than now to have him on the show to sort of lift our spirits, right? Lionel will be joining us on the show. And also the legendary Dr. Bernie Siegel, one of the most inspirational and empowering people you'll come across. He just authored another book. His grandson did as well. And he and his grandson, Charles, are going to be my guest. They will be on the guest list Friday, the 12th. That is next Friday, a week from this Friday. The incredible and incomparable Dr. Bernie Siegel is going to be here as well. And again, the list goes on and on. We have so many extraordinary people that are joining us here on the program. We're booked all the way into the end of June, going into July, and it's really amazing. And I thank everybody for joining us on the show. So we're going to wrap up now so you can go about your life. And again, thanks for hanging on. Originally these shows are only supposed to be an hour. I set this out to be a 1 hour broadcast, but you roll with it. If you're having fun, it's the price of admission is fun, right? And levity. Like I say, the show is all about light, levity, and love. And I bid all of that to you and you and you and you and you. And I thank you very much. George does, Jeannie does, Silver, and Jimmy the Clown does. And we'll be here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, live on the Jim Masters Show. You have a great night, Kathleen. You as well, Issy in Barcelona. And make contact again if you want to know more about Hilary and Michelle's work. Absolutely. And in Spanish as well. Yeah, my pleasure. Gracias. Well, my pleasure. You are very, very welcome. Issy has been following me on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter for years. And she's an amazing person as well. All right, gang. Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, right here on the Jim Masters Show Live. I bid you a beautiful good night. Hang in there. You be well. We're all in this together. And And it's a blessing having you with us. And now we can start the music. 3, 2, 1, go. Have a good night. And we have one more group to thank before we wrap up. We must thank our friends at Lampkin Music Group for their support and all of their efforts. We appreciate their support as well, and a great organization. So LMG, thank you very much from all of us here at the Jim Masters Show. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Have a great night, everybody. Good